we now have some gameplay footage of Planet Coaster 2, which is set to release in fall of 2024 and be the next installment in, obviously, the Planet franchise. Now, there's quite a bit to unpack between the pre-recorded gameplay footage which was shown to the creators, or some creators, at the release of the game, or the announcement of the game, and then obviously this new live footage which you have just received from the latest Frontier Unlocked stream about Planet Coaster 2. Now, you might have gathered from the title of the video that I'm talking about the confirmed coaster types, and we will get to those in just a little bit after we've had a quick look at some of the other features which have been shown off in the game. Now, the first thing I wanted to quickly look at was the pool and slide features which they showed off. Immediately, one of the first things that they decided to show off was a couple of new slide types. Now, these include the, I think they're called like fly trap style elements, we've got the bowl elements, and we've got massive river raft slides which can have like dinghies and stuff with loads of different people in them. This was something that was mentioned in like an article or an interview with the developers of Planet Coaster 2 a little while back, but it's nice to see them in game. Obviously some of the animations and things won't be final, as you can see here, like the water doesn't line up and stuff, but apart from that, it's looking really nice, and as do the pools and a lot of the features regarding the sort of water parks in general. A lot of the water slides, there are tons of different types, different size flumes and things. You can see in the background here, we've got some very small slides compared to much more of the normal body slides, which means you can have, obviously, smaller slides for different areas of your park, which looks great. Now, you might think I'm sort of skipping over this, but it's mainly because the focus of this video is to talk about the coaster side of it as well. Quickly before that as well, we have been shown off, I think, one of the most anticipated features of this new game, which is the revamped pathing system. And I feel like revamped isn't even the correct word to use. It's basically a completely new system. Now, shown off in several instances is the idea that no longer do you place a ride, connect paths around it, you just put rides onto the path now. If you build a plaza, you can just put blueprints, pools, paths, rides, anything like that, straight onto the path. No clipping or anything like that, and it just integrates perfectly onto the whole plaza. This is possibly the best feature, I think, coming to this game in terms of like quality of life, that is aside from like a new feature or something. This looks brilliant. This is possibly one of the greatest improvements I think a lot of people were expecting. You do still have the spline-based system shown off here, where they're sort of connecting a exit path to another ride here, and what it means is you have the customization and options to connect paths how you want. So if you want to go for the more legacy style where you build roads and then connect big plazas to them, you can do. But if you want to use, for instance, the new draw tool, you basically define paths and things, and it fills it all in for you, which was one of the theorized methods of building paths, which is really nice. Another good one is the stamp system, which kind of creates a new grid. But what is a great feature of this new pathing system is that everything overlaps and then automatically generates and connects, so that if you want to create really unique and dynamic path shapes, you can do. And it's a really, really good overhauled system, and I'm really, really happy with the direction they've gone for. Something else which I think might have been overlooked, or, I mean, well, I haven't seen any of the people's videos on this yet because I might be a little bit late to this, but we now have flexi-color paths. This was a feature I don't think anyone was even like thinking of, but it's a really nice touch. For instance, this cobblestone mosaic type path that he clicked on, it's got 4 flexi options. Now that's, if every path style has this option, that basically means your creativity is going to be just insane. You have so many more options when it comes to making paths and scenery and things, and I really like it. I think that's a great direction for them to go for with it. As well as this, it's a bit of an off-topic thing as well, but loads of new scenery pieces, and it's been confirmed that the direction of the rides and theming is they're going for generic coasters and rides instead of theming, so that you can theme them yourselves. Like shown here, we've got this, I know this ride exists, and I will probably put on screen what it's called, but I can't think. It's the ride where it's like a drop tower, but you drop into water. There's 3 different variants of this, where it's a blueprinted themed flat ride, which is apparently a new feature. We've got the resort theme, and then you've got the aquatic theme, and then you've got a base one. It seems like they're all going to be generic, and also hovering over very quickly, you can see the whirly rig, which is the little Ferris wheel in game, has been replaced by a generic version of it, so that you can theme it now, which I think is a much better direction, and it's kind of confirming a lot of the things that we're really hoping for we'd get in Planet Coaster 2. Now, so I think it is about time to move on to the main portion of the video, which is talking about the coasters. Now, we didn't get shown tons, but unfortunately a couple of things that we can take note of, shown in this, I would say, very early footage. which I think is the same footage that was shown to the creators that got invited to an early look of the game. Unfortunately, in this POV, we still have that anticipation of the camera. Now, again, whether or not that's because it's a very early build, or it's because of any other number of features and things like that, I don't know. But it's still there, so we might have to see if we can disable that, or maybe ask Frontier for as an option, can we disable that? Because it did prove to be quite annoying when building smooth coasters. One other thing to take note of is in that video you have the Vekoma MK1200 train, which is known as the Trident in-game for the Boomerang, and then it's the D-Gen as the normal MK1200. That's making a return with the new updated restraints that they seem to be using, which look great. They're more B&M style, but for Vekoma it kind of works, it's okay, you can kind of ignore it. But also you also got like the lights attached to the train and stuff. There is a new lift hill sound. Now I assume this will be the same lift hill sound that is used for all steel coasters, whether or not they'll do style specific ones like they did with the RMC and like the B&Ms and stuff. If you give the sound effect a quick listen, I'll play it here, and you should be able to hear what it sounds like compared to the old one, which I'll also play at the same time or afterwards.
Experience.
So as you can see, it's more of a... It's different. It sounds a little bit more realistic, but it's different. That again might just be a placeholder, could be just added in post as a sort of way to improve the video. There also is probably going to be new coaster type sounds. Hopefully they changed the brake noise, because obviously that was for some reason a B&M wing contact noise that they chose to use for the friction brakes. Fingers crossed they changed that, but we can only hope. Another thing to do with that model, the in-game butterfly inversion that is on that coaster did look smoother, so whether or not they've changed the way that splines are imported in the game, who knows? But hopefully the coaster builder is improved, as is shown. It's not shown in the game, but it seems like coasters are smoother now. I don't know how they do that. I don't know. We're not possibly going to get any gameplay for the coaster builder until... I know Gamescom, they're putting a build out for Gamescom that people can go and play, so hopefully there's some footage there, people testing the coaster builder and stress testing it and see what it's like, but we won't know any information until then. Another thing on topic of that as well is stations are unfortunately the same big pieces with the air gates and all that stuff. However, again, that might not be final. If that is final, they might opt to do something about that in the future, which would be really nice. But for the moment, we can just take it as face value. It's no worse than the original Planet Coaster, and we made it work for years. Now, moving on to something which I think is very interesting, is the coaster tab. Now, this was shown off several times, but towards the end of the stream, they showed off the coaster tab, which has a selection of roller coasters that you can choose from. Now, immediately the first one that comes up is the Flawless trains. Now, these are making a return from Planet Coaster 1. Brilliant. They've got that updated B&M harness, or OTSR, which looks brilliant. They are now Flexicolor. In the old one, actually, I think they were Flexicolor in the old one, but they didn't look very good. The texture was kind of not good. But one new thing, which I think is absolutely brilliant, is they've given the coasters manufacturers now. Instead of being... I think it was like, for instance, we'll take the invert from Planet Coaster 1. It used to be called Rival, and then the subcategory was Inverted 4-seater, or whatever it was called. Now, they've ditched this, and instead, we've got a manufacturer and a model. So, on the Flawless coaster, you can see it's called... I'm going to try and pronounce this. I know it'll be the Planker language. It'll be like, it's Valle and Nidvalden. And obviously, if you can put the acronym together, it's VNN. So instead of B&M, we've got V&N, which is I love the direction that they're going for with that. Another brilliant one is is my favourite one, which is instead of Intermin, we have Outermax. That's brilliant. I love that. And we've also got Big M for Macroids, Murphy and Son, Marathon, because the only coaster they've got is the X car, which is a strange choice. Kingdom Isle for the wooden coaster. Now we as in a few of us speculate that might be CCI. Custom Coaster International, maybe, because the acronym's a little bit similar. It could be DIN, it could be PTC, it could be anything like that, but we're not sure with that. But the other one we've got is Great Coasters Worldwide for the GCI. So instead of GCI, we've got GCW, and we've got a bunch of different coaster types. Now, in the list here, confirmed, and I'm going to say confirmed because that's what's in-game currently. We have the B&M Flawless, the B&M Sit, no, not the B&M Sit Down, the B&M Flyer, the B&M Surf Coaster, a Mack Water Coaster. Now, it says Splash Coaster. I'm going to assume that's the Mack Coaster from Planet Coaster 1. The Intamin Giga, which I assume is sit-down 4-seater. That's my best guess. It could be something else. I don't know. And then we have the PTC Woody and the GCI Woody. Now, it's interesting to note that the Vekoma MK1200, which was shown off in a different build, doesn't appear here. But I would also assume that that's going to be in the game too, along with the Dive Coaster, and there's another sit-down shown in the announcement trailer, but that could just be using the track of the Surf Coaster or the Flawless Coaster. It's probably the Flawless Coaster now that I think about it. But there are other coasters shown off in the key art, like the Infinity Coaster and stuff, which will probably be making a return as well, as this is just a very early build. Now, those are the confirmed coaster types that are in Planet Coaster 2, but I thought it'd be another interesting thing to look at the coasters tab as well, as we have a bunch of new categories. We've got, instead of by narrowing them down to very interesting arrangements, we've got still special tabs, but now we have obviously there's an all tab, there's a chain lift tab, a launch tab, alternate lift, which I want to come back to, suspended, wooden coasters, wing coasters, water coasters, which I think is nice, and then special. Now, alternate lift makes me think we might either have drive tire lift hills, which I assume we will have, cable lift hills, which we probably will for the Intamin Giga Coaster, and potentially elevator lift hills, or lift hills that aren't necessarily normal. They might even have launch lifts, like LSMs and things. Special, I don't know what special could be. Special could be like 4D coasters, or spinning coasters, or like RMCs or anything like that. So that's interesting to know. Something hilarious as well is there's already a DLC tab. We know that's going to get filled in with hopefully coaster types that should have been in-game by normal, but we're trying to keep our expectations realistic here, which is interesting to know. Other things to note about the coaster builder, or at least the coasters in general. One thing I noticed is that on the later in the video file, they look at one of the coasters that they placed down as a blueprint. Obviously, when they're going to edit the coaster car scenery thing, which I'll get onto in a minute, there's a parameter in the description which says park area or area. Now, I don't know if this means that we're going to be able to, like, split our parks into different areas, which can then have different draws for guests. Like, for instance, if you have, say, CBeebies Land at Alton Towers, that is a junior area, so it's going to be catered to more towards younger rides and attractions, whereas then Forbidden Valley, which has got Nemesis and Galactica, is more thrill-based. So I wonder if we're going to be able to do that, or you're going to be able to zone the park for your staff and things to go towards, or maybe it's going to be talking about whether or not you zone it from a water park to a theme park. I don't know, but that I think is an interesting feature that I'm looking forward to them going through. Now I think we should probably move on to one of the main draws, is the coaster train editor, or the scenery editor for the rides and trains. Now they use the GCI trains for this, which I'll note do look very nice. They have clearly had a slight remodel to include. They're just better quality. It seems that these trains haven't been completely remade, but they've rather been updated to fit the modern requirements of like the game. So for instance, I imagine the flawless dive, invert, and all that stuff will be of the same standard. Now these trains, you can see here we've got a bunch of options. We've got basically mirroring, advanced move, all that stuff. There's like a snaps thing where it snaps to the surface of the train, which could be really useful for things like lights and other objects and things. One thing which I really like as well is you get a little highlight which allows you to place things on different cars, and it tells you which one you're editing as well, which is really nice. And it treats the lead car, or the zero car, as its own separate entity, which is really nice, so you can theme your lead cars very easily. Another thing as well is you can apply this modification to all of the trains and all of the cars, and then mirror them, so that anything you do to one car will repeat for the rest of the train, and also then repeat for the next trains. You don't have to have that as an option, which means that you can make unique trains. That makes me hope that you'll be able to have custom train colours and custom car colours for different cars. That would be, I think, a really nice feature, but I don't know if they will implement that, but let's fingers crossed hope that they do that. As well as this, the sort of, they mentioned the pattern thing as well as for the like textures and stuff for like the flat rides. That's obviously going to be a feature which is going to come in as well. And that'll work really nicely in tandem with the train editor. And I feel like I've just like realised that I haven't even gone over this, but the scenery scaling option as well is absolutely huge. They've shown it off in 2 different instances when editing the trains, so the scenery pieces do indeed scale for the trains, and also this palm tree here. It's a slider which goes, I believe, from 50% to 250%. I will need to confirm that by watching it again in post because I haven't got it in front of me here. But it's a slider, but you don't have to use the slider. You could instead use a gizmo to do it, which I think is a very, very nice way of implementing scaling scenery objects, and that will work very nicely in tandem with the train editor, the ride editor, and everything else which you'll be able to attach to like rides and things as well. You can also attach animatronics to coasters and things too, because in shown in that water ride thing, one of the animatronics was moving too, which I think is a absolutely brilliant little feature, which I don't even think people were thinking about as well. But anyway, that is, I believe, a quick overview of a lot of the features that we were shown off. I have probably missed quite a few as well because I'm getting this video out by just talking about what stood out to me in particular with this. But like some general thoughts now as well. The game looks very nice. It looks, I think, in that very early gameplay thing that was shown, some of the lighting looked a little bit washed out. It looked a little bit blue. But then when they got into the gameplay, the live gameplay, mind you, keep in mind it is on console, it still looked really good. The lighting, there is definitely more global illumination. The textures look higher quality, the models look higher quality. I'm hoping that all of that will integrate nicely with some new audio, and the gameplay will probably feel a bit more optimized and smooth. And I'm generally just really looking forward to getting my hands on the game whenever it becomes available. Unfortunately, I won't be able to attend Gamescom and play the public build that they are showing off there, but as soon as the game becomes available for pre-order, or if they're holding any sort of early access for a certain tier, I will try and get a hold of that so we can get some gameplay out and start having a look at a lot of the features that we've been anticipating for this game. Now, that's about it from me when it comes to this game. I'm really excited for the game. I'm very, very excited to see what we get shown in the coming weeks, obviously when Gamescom comes out, and also the next Frontier Unlocked, which I believe will be the Wednesday just before I go back to university, so if uploads slow down around that time, just keep that in mind, but I'll try and get the content out for Planker 2 as soon as possible. But those are my thoughts on the new Planet Coaster gameplay. I might do another couple of videos, maybe really deep diving into the video. That's just a quick overview, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys are also looking forward to the game. So leave your comments and thoughts below of what you think about Planet Coaster 2, and we'll have a look at them in the future. Right, that is all from me. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you all next time.